Hey y'all, this is John Trent from Bounding Into Comics, and I've got some Joker news for you today. We're going to be talking about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie. The Rotten Tomatoes score for Joker has plummeted over 12 points since the score was released earlier this month. Back on September 3rd, the Rotten Tomatoes score was sitting at 89% from 37 reviews with an average rating of 9.08 out of 10. And just as a quick interjection there, these are the critic scores. This is the Critic Tomatoes score. These are not audience scores. So on September 3rd, it was at 89%. That score is now down to 77% from 84 reviews, with 65 fresh reviews and 19 rotten reviews. The film now has an average rating of 7.87 out of 10. And if you've been following reaction to the Joker film from the woke Twitter crowd, you can expect what's bringing down that score based on the reviews. That's right, woke reviewers. Here's a selection of those 19 rotten reviews. They paint a pretty clear picture that these people are interjecting their ideological bias into their film reviews. So let's get to it. David Edelstein at Vulture writes, quote, "As Hannah Arendt saw banality in the supposed evil of the Nazi Adolf Eichmann, I see in Joker an attempt to elevate nerdy revenge to the plane of myth. That's scary on a lot of different levels," end quote. Lee Greenblatt at Entertainment Weekly bemoans, "A movie with the message this one hammers home again and again feels too volatile and frankly too scary to separate from the very real violence committed by young men like Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck in America almost every day." Every day these young men are like Joaquin Phoenix are committing violence. Like, it's so absurd. Are you kidding me? I mean, every day? Like, no, they're not. This is just a patent lie. And you're interjecting this into a movie review. It's disgusting. Lee Greenblatt isn't alone. Emma Stefanski at Thrillist. "The movie isn't badly made or even ugly to look at, but there's a mean, smug little heart at the center of it that, at best, irresponsibly frames a familiar male power fantasy as a revolutionary act." Oh, there we go. We got the sexism there. Joker's sexist, familiar male power fantasy as a revolutionary act. Oh boy. Mike Ryan at Uproxx writes, "Joker is the perfect movie for 2019. Joker is our comeuppance." Okay. All right. He's probably making a Trump reference there. 2019. It's stupid. Danielle Saltzman writes, "Joker isn't the traditional comic book movie and presents villains sympathetically in a cringe-worthy way." Oh, I mean, I can imagine what she thinks is cringeworthy. Her review sounds cringeworthy to me. Alonzo Giraldi at The Wrap writes, "If you strip the Joker and his nearly 80-year history as a cultural icon out of this film, as well as all the 1970s movie homages, there's not a whole lot left except for Phoenix's performance, and it's the kind of turn that's destined to be divisive." So this little blurb actually seems like it actually has some substance to it. He's talking about Joker's history throughout all the times he's been around since 1940, I think, was when he was first introduced back in Batman #1. And then we assumed that the film would have a lot of 1970s and 80s homages, so obviously he's hinting at that. I do find it interesting that he says there's not a whole lot left. It seems like there's quite a bit with with those homages, and then it sounds like Phoenix's performance is pretty good. So it's hard to imagine what's lacking there. Obviously, I haven't seen the film, but he does note that it's going to be divisive. He's not trying to pick a side, but he does note that it's going to be divisive. And as we can see with these reviews, it's obviously people are making it divisive. So I actually thought that review wasn't too bad. But here we go. We got Stephanie Zacharek at Time. Phillips may want us to think he's giving us a movie all about the emptiness of our culture, but really, he's just offering a prime example of it. Ooh, emptiness, like, wow, okay, I mean, I feel like that contradicts itself there. He's obviously critiquing an emptiness of our culture in a movie, but apparently they, like, I don't just, how do you even write something like that? How can you have a movie that's critiquing an emptiness of culture and then it ends up being what it's critiquing? I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that this is just a contradictory review that makes absolutely no sense, and I don't want to read the rest of it because it's probably even worse. Because I'm just reading the Rotten Tomatoes blurbs, if that wasn't already apparent. So Glenn Kenny at Roger Ebert writes, as social commentary, Joker is pernicious garbage. Well, that's straight and to the point. David Jenkins at Little White Lies says, feeble posturing, asinine pop psychology, and political analysis charged with all the cynicism of molly-coddled teen dropout in fake Oakleys and a home-customized Lincoln Park tee. Wow, that's a lot of adjectives there, David Jenkins. Obviously, I wonder if you actually had to bring out your dictionary to figure out all those adjectives, because that's quite a bit. Fake Oakleys and home-customized Lincoln Park tee. I liked Lincoln Park. I still like Linkin Park. I think their older stuff was a little, got a little bit too U2 for me, but I love those like first two albums. They used that Japanese flute man in that one song, that second album. Ooh, I love that song. I still do. It's a great song. I can't remember the name right now, but that Japanese flute on that song, ooh, that gets to me. So I haven't seen Joker yet, but given these brief little blurbs from these reviewers, one has to imagine it's a whole lot better than they indicate. I think the only one that actually was seemingly honest was Alonso Duralde at The Wrap. I would actually argue these people aren't actually reviewing the movie. They're reviewing it. Well, they're reviewing it, but it's from an ideological standpoint rather than from a film plot characterization. You get the spiel perspective. And I think we did an article about this, I guess it was like 2 months ago maybe now, but entertainment critic Richard Rushfeld, in his, he's got this website called The Ankler, and it's a newsletter, and I think he hits on what is happening with these critics. So he says, quote, we've come to this bizarre place where the boundaries between the roles of critic, political activist, fanboy, and box office reporter have completely dissolved. Everything has to play a role in some larger, greater good narrative, which is fine if critics want to see the world that way and offer criticism through the lens of, quote, how does this help the movement, end quote. It's harder to justify if you're supposedly covering box office for the film industry and filtering your business analysis through that lens, or that lens watered down via general media hoopla, end quote. So it's increasingly why you continue to see people trashing Rotten Tomatoes. Rushfeld, he's explaining why people are trashing them, why ordinary people like you and me are trashing them. The critic scores can't be trusted at all because these critics are no longer acting as film critics. Instead, they are political activists and even fanboys. You just look at the reaction to Spider-Man out of the MCU, and you see all of the Thor Ragnarok reviews and even the Avengers Endgame reviews. To an extent, they're just fanboying over these films that aren't as good as what the critic reviews lead you to believe. I know I don't look at Rotten Tomatoes critic scores at all. I'm not using them to inform my opinion of whether or not I should go see a film. The only time I look at those critic scores is to monetize them, because I know people want to see what that critic score is and see what these idiot critics have to say about these movies now, and because they know that their reviews are just the most woke trash that you can see, and it's just going to get worse as we get closer to 2020. I do look at the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and trust that score way more than I do critic scores. And my guess is the Joker will probably have a better audience score than the critic score. It will definitely rate higher than these critics that gave it a rotten score, who put their political agendas before their film reviews. Now, it's possible the Joker might actually absolutely suck, and I might be completely wrong, but given these critic reviews, I'm going to say it's better than what a lot of the Rotten people are saying. What do you think about this huge drop in Joker's Rotten Tomatoes score? Do you think critics are actually critics, or are they becoming political activists and fanboys now? Let me know by leaving a comment below. If you're digging our videos, please hit that like button and give us a subscribe. And if you're feeling hella generous, smash that bell so you get notifications. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics. Until next time.